What's up, guys? I hope you're all doing well. So this is a complete chapter from the Advanced 3D Product Animation course. There are 3 more chapters. So if you like this one, you can check it out and get it from cleverpoly.store. And yes, this chapter is a full, complete, independent chapter. So you won't need other chapters to complete this exact animation.
Hello and welcome to chapter 1. First we'll create these amazing bubble simulations right here in Blender, and then we're gonna do some lighting and all the camera movements to create this final piece. So let's get started. First of all, you'll have this starter file within the folder of the shoe animation. There's our model. We're gonna animate this and do all the effects in this blend file. You can see it is already textured and everything is done. We're going to look into the first shot of this animation. For this one, I'm going to select this object first. We don't need it yet, so this is going to be about 85 frames. I want this product to be out of the frame so that the bubbles are not colliding with this thing, because we're going to give it a collision physics. On frame 85, I'm going to insert a location keyframe on this, and then go back to frame 84, bring it up over here, so the bubbles won't collide with this collision object, and insert location again. Now on frame 85, I'm going to insert the visibility keyframes on this too. So you're going to have to go to object properties, scroll down to visibility and insert them. Then go to frame 84 and hide it just like this, and insert the keyframes again. Now we have this object in our scene, and if you go to frame 85, our object is back. So that's the visibility controller right there. Now what I'm going to do is, right here, we want to create a simulation. So I'm going to select this object, go to Physics tab, and give it a collision. We're going to make the friction value to 0. And I think that's it for the physics settings. Now we want to create some bubbles in there so that we can pop them and make the simulation with those. You can do this by just adding cubes in here and then giving the subdivided surface, but I'm going to do it the smart way, and we're going to use a little bit of geometry nodes here. It's not that much and it will be easy. I'm going to hit tab on this object, and we're going to select some vertices right here. So hit 3 first, Alt Shift click this one, and it will select the whole loop. Then I'm going to hit H to hide this loop, select the face here, and hit L over here. This will select the faces right here. Now I'm going to hit Shift D and duplicate that. Then hit P to separate it by selection. And I'm going to hit Tab to go to the object mode. Now we have this piece of the shoe right here, and I'm going to instance some spheres on there. And then we're going to simulate those. So first of all, let's hit Alt P and keep transformation, that it's not parented anywhere. Then I'm going to hit M to create a new collection here, and we're going to name it to the Bubbles Simulation. Now with that done, I'm going to rename this object too, so this is going to be my Bubbles First. We're going to do it 2 times, so this is going to be the first one. Now let's open up a Geometry Nodes tab here, go to Geometry Nodes, and create a new system on this. And I'm going to rename this to Instance Bubbles. This is just going to be used for the instances, and we're going to apply it. So let's hit Shift A, add in a Distribute Points on Faces node. So we can just distribute some points, and then we're going to add some cubes on top of those points. I'm going to set it to Poison Disk from Random, and let's bring up the distance minimum. I think that looks good. Now I'm going to add in an instance on points node. And on those points, we're going to instance some cubes. So let's get a cube. It's disappeared now, but don't worry, when we connect the cube to the instance, it will all come back. Now let's bring down the size X, Y, and Z for all of these. So I'm making all of them to something like 0.15. Or make it 0.2, whatever you want. Just make sure that they are small, but not too small. I think this works fine. Let's get in a subdivision surface node. And after the subdivision surface, I'm going to get a realize instances node, and put it right here. We're going to set the subdivision level to 2, so they're smooth. And let's bring up the sizes to 0.2. And that's good for now. Let's add in a set shade smooth node. So just type SSS here and you'll get set shade smooth node. And just put it at the end right here. So they're smooth now. Let's set GZ to make sure they're not intersecting with the sole right there. Now you can change the seed value as you want and get a different result. But that's basically it. So now I'm going to also create a trash folder so that we can get backups when we need. So I'm going to hit Shift D, M, and new collection. This is going to be our trash so that we can get our group and stuff back. And I'm just going to hide this trash forever. Select this object now. I'm going to go to the timeline right here, bring it back this way, and hit Ctrl A and Visual Geometry to Mesh. It will apply our Geometry Nodes modifier. And this is what we got. This is the mesh, and now we're going to create a vertex group from this mesh. So go to the vertex groups. First of all, hit the slash button just like that. And right here, we're going to select vertices from each sphere so that we can pin those vertices and our bubbles will not leave its place. It will be stuck there. So I'm going to go to the negative Z axis and start selecting one vertex from each sphere. So just like that, keep selecting this. I'm selecting them from the bottom so that they're not visible in the final result. So I have selected a vertex from every single sphere. Then I'm going to go to the vertex groups, create a new one, rename this to K, whatever name you want, but K was easy for me. I just type that and assign this. Hit tab and hit slash again so that we can focus on the sole as well. Now right here, I'm going to go to the modifiers and let's go to geometry nodes again. We want to manipulate that group as well. So create a new geometry node system, and this is going to be the bubbles simulation. And right here, what we want to do is we want to scale our bubbles based on a gradient, and also we want to manipulate our vertex group right here. And we couldn't do that just with instances. It won't work. So this is the way to do it. Let's add in a scale elements node. And you can see we can scale each of them just like this. Now let's create our gradient. We're going to have to get a position node. And right here, just get a separate XYZ node. So you can see we want the gradient on the x-axis just like that. So I'm going to choose the x-axis here, connect the position to the vector, and now get the x-axis and add in a math node to this. Now when you connect this to the scalar directly, this is what you get. If I play around with this now, you can see this is how it looks like. And if I turn on the clamp, this is what we want. Now we will add randomness to the scale of this, and also we want to control the minimum and maximum scale. So let's add in a map range. Okay, let's set the minimum scale to 1 and the maximum to 7. Now when you play with this value, this is what you get. And I'm going to get a noise texture right here. Connect the factor to the maximum value right there. And in the vector, we're going to get a mesh island node. Mesh island, connect the island index to the vector. Now to make these values a little bit powerful, I'm going to get a math node and multiply this and bring it up just like that. And before the multiply node, let's get in a color ramp as well so that we can control the minimum and maximum scales. So if I bring that back, you can see what this is doing. Now in the noise texture, you're going to have to bring up the scale of the noise texture. So I'm going to bring it up to something like 50. And now when I control this, you can see some bubbles are getting smaller and some are bigger. So I'm going to set this black value to something gray so that the bubbles don't get too small and mess up the simulation. Let's bring up the scale as well, a little bit more. And just like this is what we get. I'm going to bring down the white value a little bit so that they're normalized. And you can play with the scale later based on the result that it gives you. So yeah, we're going to leave it like that for now. And we can animate the whole thing from this value node right there. And yeah, this is what we're going to do. So now right here, let's open up a timeline. And timeline right here as well. Our animation will be ending on frame 84 and starting from frame 1. So let's bring back the value just like this. Don't bring it back too much because this will make the animation offset in the wrong way. So I'm going to make it something like negative 0.281 and insert a keyframe with I right here. Select the node so that you can see the keyframe. So if your keyframe is not visible, make sure you selected the object and also the node related to that keyframe too. So now on the frame 84, bring up the value just like this to the end. And this is fine. Now I'm going to insert this keyframe with I. And now right here on the timeline, hit T and make it linear so that it plays in a linear motion and there's no speed up and slowing down. So this is how it looks like. I like that. I'm gonna select the second keyframe and bring it back to 80. And I think this is what I want. Great. Now, select this object and right here, let's add in a subdivision surface node. Subdivision surface node. So they're smoother now. And we're going to go to the physics tab, go to the frame 1 and give it a cloth physics. The quality steps are going to be 20 because we want everything to work perfectly fine and get no simulation problems. So quality steps, set it to 20. The speed multiplier is going to be 0.7. Make sure to save your file. And the vertex mass set to 0.3 kg, which is good. I'm going to scroll down and come over here to the damping and the bending. Let's set that to 1. Turn on the pressure and set it to 30. If your bubbles are not popping up with the pressure of 30, then you may want to set this to a higher value. Now come over here to the cache and the end frame is going to be 84. Turn on disk cache so that we can save this on the disk. Then we're going to go to the shape. Select the pin group that you had, which was the K. And also, let's turn on the dynamic mesh so that the scaling we did in geometry nodes can work properly. Go to collisions. This is very important. Just set the quality to 15. Set the distance to 0.002. And turn on self collisions. Set the friction to 0. And set the distance to 0.002. Now, I think that's it for the settings. This should work perfectly fine. I'm going to save the file and bake the simulation.
Okay, real quick, I want to take a moment to talk about the Lazy Motion library. So for the past year, I've been developing this whole library of assets, and these are all procedural assets made with geometry nodes, and you just drag and drop it onto your product, or you select your product in the setup, and you can create amazing, countless visuals, and these basically fit in any client project or personal project that is about product animation or motion graphics. So it's really great. We use it ourselves at Clever Poly Studio. And the great thing about these assets is every single asset has a mini tutorial link added to it. Even in Blender Geometry Node setup as well, there's always a mini tutorial link, and you can just copy and paste it into your browser if you're ever stuck in that asset and you need help. It's been really on the hype for the past couple of months. You might have seen it on Instagram here and there. So yeah, I've been getting great feedback and I'd love for you to check it out. The link is in description below. Now let's get back to the video.
Let's check out how the bake turned out. So first of all, I'm going to select this object and give it a subdivision surface modifier so that it can be a little bit more smooth. And this is after the cloth. So let's play this now. Okay. The overall simulation is looking nice and it's working fine. I'm gonna try changing the pressure value to something higher so that it can be a little bit more inflated. Let's delete the bake. I'm gonna go to frame 1, hit tab, and right here, L to select that. Just grab it to the middle or something. Just make the sorting a little bit better. This is good. Now let's come over here to the pressure, make it 45. Just save the file and bake it again. My bake is completed and now we're gonna see how it looks like. So let's play that. I'm gonna hide that for now. So I think it's kind of flickering around here. We're gonna need to fix that. So the first solution is that I'm gonna try is making these bubbles a little bit lesser. So let's delete the bake. And right here, I'm gonna hit GZ to bring it up a little bit so that none of them are intersecting with the collider. And now let's hit tab and delete some of them. So right here, just hit L. L over here as well. L, X, and vertices. Now this should not be too much and we should be good to go. I'm gonna bring down the pressure back to 30. Let's just save the file. Now let's just bake it again. Now the bake is done and let's see how that turned out to be. I don't know, this is kind of jiggly and I don't want that. I want it to be stable. Let's just delete the bake again and try some of these settings. So I have been trying for like 10 minutes to find a solution for this and I just realized that I did a mistake here in geometry nodes. So let's say that this was our sphere and this is the origin. We're scaling the sphere from this origin right here. And what we need to do is we want to scale it from here so that it won't cross the soul mesh down there. And when you scale it from this point, it will eventually go into the soul mesh right here and it will cause problems. That's what we need to fix. So let's jump into geometry nodes again. Select the modifier from here so that they will be visible here. I'm going to get a position node. Connect the position to the center and hide the cloth modifier for now and get in a vector math here so that we can change the position and put it right here. We're going to add some value to the z-axis. So when you scale it up just like this, you can see it's going in here and this is not what we want. So in the z-axis right here in the third one, I'm going to bring it back so that it's not intersecting with our soul. And this is it. And that was the fix. Now let's come over here to the cloth, turn it on. I'm going to go back to frame 1 and turn the subdivision surface on as well. Go to the cloth simulation and just bake the simulation. Now the bake is done and let's see how it looks like. Okay, I think it's fixed now. But our bubbles look a little bit too big. You can fix that by going into the geometry node system right here. And in this multiply node, set it to a smaller value, then they will look smaller. But I think I'm going to leave it like that. I like this. So I'm going to select my math node here, then select the bubbles as well. And let's bring the end frame to something like 65 or 70 so that these end bubbles can pop up too. And then we're going to bake the simulation again. You can bring down the multiply node to something like 11.5 as well. They will be a little bit smaller now. And the flickering is gone. You can see it's very smooth. Everything works perfectly fine. Now let's just delete the bake, save the file, and bake it again. So the bake is completed. Now let's play this, and this is looking amazing. I mean, yeah, if you get a little bit of problems here like this one, it doesn't look bad, but when you get that, you can just follow this bubble and go back in timeline and try to see which one this is coming from. And when you see that, just delete it or play around with your seed right here in the scale. Just set the noise texture from 2D to 40. And when it's 40, you're going to change the W value. Then you'll get different scales right here. So that is it. The first simulation is done. Now let's remove the geometry nodes tab from here. And I'm going to go to frame 84, select this simulation object, go to the object properties, then visibility right here. And I'm going to give it a viewports and renders keyframe right there. And then go to frame 85, hide it in both of them and insert both of them right there. Now this is how it's going to look like. Let's play that. That's awesome. Now it depends on your seed and values. Your bubbles might look different, but the simulation should be working like that. Now we want to animate some camera real quick. So for that, I'm going to add in a empty. We're going to go with a cube. Let's center this out first. Shift S, cursor to selected, just like this. And then I'm going to add in a camera right here. Make sure that it is facing the y-axis and it's rotated like that. Then grab y-axis, we're going to go to the camera settings and make the focal length to 85, which makes the product look bigger and makes it look better. Now let's grab it on the y-axis back a little bit. So you can see at the locations of the camera right here and the rotation too. And if you copy these values, your camera should be positioned right here in this rotation. Select the camera, then select the empty cube, hit Ctrl P and key transformation. You can see I have given it a shortcut which is Q. So when I hit Q here, it will be parented. Now when I select my empty cube and rotate it, the camera will be rotated with it. And if I scale it, the camera will do the zooming. So I'm going to scale it up to make the zooming effect, bring it up a little bit, just like that. And if you don't know what works fine for you, you can just look at my values right here and copy them. That's it. On the frame 84, that was the last frame of animation. I'm going to insert a location, rotation, and scale keyframe. Then we're going to go to frame 1, rotate the camera just like that by hitting R. And then I'm going to hit double R to give it some angle this way too. I'm going to scale it back a little bit, grab it, and then I'm going to insert location, rotation, and scale. Then on frame 84, I'm going to scale it down, bring the camera up, rotate it a little bit to give it some interesting rotation, and rotate it on this side as well. And now let's just hit insert, location, rotation, and scale. If I play this animation, you can see this is how it looks like. It looks the same as I did in the demo. If you're not a fan of the pinching here, we can always change that by the scale of the noise or deleting these right away, or just deleting these. And this is the first shot. It looks great. Now we're going to do some lighting and background. So, first of all, for the background, I'm going to add in a plane. I'm going to hit R, X, and 90. Let's grab it along the y-axis and scale it up that way. Let's go to the shading tab, create a new material. This is going to be my background. Remove the principled BSDF and just get in a gradient texture. We're going to set it to quadratic sphere. Control T. If you have no Drangular add-on enabled, it is free and it is by default in the Blender add-ons. And I'm going to connect the object to the vector right here. Then connect the color to the surface. If you go to the material preview mode by hitting Z, you can see this is how the gradient looks like. I like this gradient. I'm going to get a map range node to control this. Let's make it smoother step. Also, the 2 minimum value, let's bring it up a little bit so that we don't get fully black values. I'm going to grab it back a little bit. I'm going to grab it a little bit so that we can get a gradient. I think this is good. I'm going to hit tab and scale it up. And let's add in a color ramp as well so that we can change the color of the gradient. So if you want to make it a little bit like this, it would be fine. I'm going to remove it. Select the background plane, then select the camera controller right here and Control P and keep transform. So that when the camera moves, the gradient is going to move with it. Let's go to timeline again. And if you play this, you can see this is how it looks like. Let's do some quick lighting as well. So first of all, let's add in a light. This is going to be an area light. Bring it up right here, scale it up. This is enough. Let's go to the light settings, make the power to something like 400 or 300. Don't make it too much. But of course, depending on your scene, it might look different. But if you're following my exact settings, it should work fine. So I'm going to go to the environment tab and just bring down the strength to 0. Because we don't need any light from the environment. It looks very bad. Duplicate this light right here. Rotate it that way. And bring it back just like this. And I'm going to scale it up a little bit so that it gives us a little bit of an edge over here. I'm going to go to frame 84 and set the power of this light to 1000 and insert the keyframe. And we're going to need it later because at some point we're going to make this light very slow so that we can get a better look of the product. But for now, we're going to keep it 1000. I like this. That is looking good. One more thing we need to do is we need to add in a spotlight, which will make it very interesting. Let's grab Z-axis, go to solid view, hit double R, grab it back, double R again. Now, set the spot power to 50,000 because we're going to give it some animated shadows and it needs a lot of power. Let's give it a little bit of radius, not too much, and we're going to go to the nodes and use nodes. Let's go to shading tab and right here, I'm going to add in a greater than node. It's going to be a map node and set it to greater than. Connect that to the strength. Let's get in a noise texture. Connect the vector to the value. Hit Control T and connect the normal to the vector because only the normal coordinates work on lights. Now I'm going to set the noise texture to 40 and Now we can animate the W value of the noise. So type in hash frame divided by 2400 or something. If the shadow animation is too fast, you're going to divide it by a bigger value. And if it's too slow, then divide it by a smaller value. Let's go to the render view and customize it more. So first of all, I'm going to play with the noise scale. Let's bring it up. You can see we're already getting the effect. Let's bring down the detail to 0 and give it some distortion. Or you can give it some detail as well, depending on what you like. I'm going to bring it near to the product a little bit and bring up the spot size. Honestly, this is looking great. Look at this. I think, yeah, it is great. But we're going to add some more supporting lights to make the scene a little bit more interesting. Now, if you want to make the shadows smoother or sharper, we're going to control that from the radius of the light. If you bring it up, the shadows are super smooth. And if you bring it back, they're very sharp. So I want something in the middle. And that's it. I'm going to select these bubbles, give it a material. And this is going to be the bubbles right there. We are going to go to the shading tab. Instead of principled BSDF. And now I'm going to give it full transmission in the principled BSDF. And the transmission roughness is going to be something like 0.3. Let's set the roughness to 0. And I'm not going to give it any color because we can give it color in the volume absorption. So let's add in a volume absorption node. Connect the volume to the volume. And in the color, you can choose any color you want. I'm going to go with something warm, something reddish right here, and bring the value up to the end right here. So the value is 1 and it looks brighter. And I think I like this. Let's make the density to 1.3. And look at this. It's looking amazing. I love the lighting and everything in this. So let's try and render a frame from this. Save the file first. Wow, this is looking awesome. Few more shots and we're going to be done. Let's go to the compositing and do quick compositing here. So I'm going to use nodes. Control-Shift, click on this. If you have Node Wrangler, of course. Hold the mouse just like that and connect both of these nodes together. If you want to connect them manually, you can do that too, but this is how it works. And let's add in a color balance node. I'm going to bring the first one a little bit down a little bit. So the value is 0.94. And the second one is going to be a little bit warm right here. And the third one, let's bring it up right there. So you can see the difference. If I mute this node, this is how it looks like. Let's make it a little bit more warmer. And the best thing about this is now you can see your compositing in real time in your report. So if you go right here and in the compositor, set it to always, it will always show the compositor right there. I'm going to go to the render settings, scroll down here to the end and the color management. We're going to make it high contrast. Or you can make it medium high contrast, whatever you like. And this is looking awesome. So the first shot is done and I want the second shot from this exact simulation. Like I don't want to go to the frame 90 and do the second shot. We're going to do the second shot from right here and bring the camera back while the bubbles are popping up. So for that, we need another camera and another empty as well. But we can do this totally in the same camera too. Yeah, I want to do it in the in different cameras, because then I can just switch the camera and render it again, and I won't have to move keyframes. First of all, I'm going to add another empty for the next camera. So let's Shift A, empty, and we're going to get a sphere. Bring up the size a little bit and we'll save the file. And you can hit Control Space Bar to minimize and maximize a window in here. So right here with this empty, I want a camera too. So we're going to go to negative y-axis first, so the camera is not rotated after adding. And right here, I'm going to add in a camera. And grab x-axis, RZ and 90 degrees. I'm going to hit minus here so that it's negative. Let's go to the camera settings and let's make the focal length 85. Now, with the camera selected, I'm going to select the empty as well. So the empty is an active object there, and hit Control P, keep transform. Now let's go to the camera view. You can see we're getting the old camera view. So to switch that to the second camera, I'm going to select my camera first. And right here on frame 1, let's hit Control B on the timeline. Control B, and there we go. We got this camera as active camera now. And on frame 85, I'm going to select this camera now and hit Control B to make this one active. So you can see on 84, we have this camera, and on 85, we have this camera. If you want to render the first scene like this, we will move the second marker to the frame 1. But then when we want to render the second scene, we're going to bring this marker to frame 1. Then we'll get this animation. But right now, let's just set up the animation for the second shot. I'm going to grab Z-axis to bring it up, R, Y-axis, just like this. That seems to be fine. I'm going to R Z-axis to rotate it that way too. And double R. And I like this result. This looks great. I'm going to insert location, rotation, and scale. And move this keyframe to frame 1 or 0, whatever you like. Now let's go to frame 84. And right here, I'm going to RX. And just rotate it that way. And then double R. To give it a little bit more randomness on this. Grab it. And insert location, rotation, and scale. Now on frame 0 or on frame 1, which is our first keyframe, I'm going to hit RY axis and scale it down a little bit, and then RZ axis and insert location, rotation, and scale so that we can get some interesting rotation going on. And now this is how the shot looks like. And I'm going to hit T to make it a linear shot. Now if I play that, this is looking good. Now you can cut this shot later in editing and make it like 60 frames or something. Doesn't match the flow of the animation, but we're going to render all of the 84 frames from this. Alright, now this is the shot that we've got, and we may want to do some lighting for this as well. Because yeah, it doesn't look as interesting as the first one that we did. So for that, we need the backlight first. I'm going to select this light. Shift T to duplicate it, RZ negative 90 degrees. And then let's grab it right here. And yeah, that's it. But we're only going to use this light when we need it. So I'm going to parent this to an empty. So let's get an empty for this light. I'm going to shift S cursor to selected, get an empty plane axis. Now let's select the light, then the empty, and hit Control P and object keep transform. Now if I go to the render view on this now, this is how it looks like, which is very interesting because we got this back lighting on this and it looks pretty great. So I'm going to go with this, and we also need the plane behind, which is the gradient kind of thing. We need this plane right there too. So for that, I'm just going to duplicate this plane, Shift T, RZ negative 90, and then grab it right here. And let's go to the material preview mode. And I'm going to grab this right there. And we're going to go to the rendered view. And let's move this plane gradient to where we want it. So I think this looks good. And I'm going to set it that way. Now let's go to the solid view and select the plane. Then select your empty that is going to control our lighting. Select this empty too. And now let's hit Control P and keep transform. So when we need to render this shot, we're going to move this light and the plane out of the way. Now you can parent this empty to the camera controller right here, which is the empty sphere. So I'm going to select that empty and then this empty sphere and hit Control P and keep transform. Now let's go to the render view. You can give it any material or color you want. If you go to the shading tab, you can change that and make it more interesting, like that. You can give it anything you like, but I'm going to go with this for now. And yeah, that's it. You can also, if you want to, you can just bring down the transmission to 0. This looks great too, but I'm going to go with this for now. And if you look at the plane, you can see a little bit of a corner here. So for that, I'm going to select this plane and bring it back on the y-axis a little bit so that we can't see it in the camera view right here. And this is working fine. This looks good. And let's get a render from this. I think this is a nice shot. We're going with it. That looks pretty nice after compositing. And the first frames are looking great too, so that's a win. Now I want to switch to the first shot. How am I going to do that? Okay, let's come over here to this marker and bring it back to frame 0. Then on frame 1, I'm going to select this marker and grab it over here to frame 1. So whenever after this marker, everything is going to be from the camera 1. But when you move this marker right here and bring that marker to the frame 1, it will capture data from that camera. But that's no problem because I'm going to show you how to render this and we're going to do that together. We're going to set up both renders from the same shot together. So let's set that like this. That's our first shot. And on frame 85, we're going to start the next shot, which is going to be another simulation. It's basically the same bubble simulation, but we're giving it another object and yeah, we're doing it again. Now we could hide this light and this background right here, but I think a little bit of a light was missing from this area on my model and it did just that. So it works fine and no need to move this down for any shot because this works perfectly fine. And yeah, I'm good with it. Let's go to frame 85 and right here we're going to need another simulation. So let's unhide the shoe top, select it, and let's go to the physics tab. We've already given it a collision and all the settings are done. So first let's bring it up a little bit so that we can give a little bit of space to the bubbles. Now on frame 86 or 87, I'm going to insert a location keyframe so that we can have the original location of the top of this shoe and then we can use it later. So I'm going to select the 87 keyframe and bring it right here and this will be back up for our original position. Now on 85, I'm going to bring it up a little bit so that we can have a little bit of space for the bubbles and I think this much is fine. Now I'm going to insert location. Now on frame 120, I'm going to bring this up over here, just like that. This much is going to be fine. Make sure it's not too much and not too little. Let's try this and insert a location. And obviously this is going to be linear because we are using it for simulation and we want the result to be linear. So select these two keyframes and hit T, linear. Now if you look at that, it's slowly going up and this is what we want. This simulation is going to end on frame 160, and after that, we're going to do the final shot, stuff like that. So right here, it's going up, and now we want another bubble effect. Now I'm going to go to frame 1 and select the bubble's first object and hide the cloth modifier on it, because when it's on, it can cause problems. Now let's just hit Shift D on this to duplicate it, and I'm going to go to the object properties, and in the visibility keyframes, just right click and clear keyframes, and do it for both of the viewport and render. So we have no keyframes going on this. And also, let's hit A, X, and delete keyframes because we don't want any keyframes here. Then I'm going to go to frame 85, and right here, go to the object properties, then visibility. Insert the viewports and renders keyframe. Then go to frame 84, hide both of them, and insert it again. So on 85, we will get the bubbles. Let's rename it to bubbles second object. Second. That's our second bubble effect. And let's go to the simulation settings right here. And in the cache, the start frame is going to be 85, and the end frame is going to be 170. And we need to do a little more settings in geometry nodes. In here, in the bubble sim, click this 2 or this copy button. And we're going to name it to bubble sim second, because it's a little bit different and we don't want to change the first one, so we have to copy it. Let's just save the file. Now in geometry nodes right here, I want the scale to be just all at once, not like a gradient. So from the gradient, we're going to make it a simple scale. So right here, when it scales up, let's see if I play with this gradient value, this is how it looks like. And let's remove this from here. And when I play with this, yeah, this is working. It won't cross the maximum value from here. So let's make the multiplied to 12 or something. And we're going to animate this value now. So right here, let's get a timeline. And on frame 85, I'm going to bring that back to negative 0.5 and insert a keyframe. Then on frame 100, I'm going to bring it up just like this. Make it something like 0.5. And this should work fine. And insert the keyframe again. So let's play this. This is how it looks like. If you want the scale to be bigger, you're just going to have to play with this multiply node. Save the file. And now we want to simulate that, but we don't need the vertex group in here. So right here in the pin group, I'm going to remove it. So on frame 85, with this object selected, the bubble second, make sure you have turned on the cloth modifier first. Then go to the physics settings, and in the cloth right here, just bake the simulation. I'm going to save the file and bake it. So the bake is done. Now let's see how this looks like. I'm going to play this. Now on this, we also want a new geometry in our system to just scale down all the bubbles at once and remove them from the scene. Let's get a geometry node, create a new one. And right here, we're going to get a scale elements node, scale elements. And if we bring it down, you know, this is what happens. So I'm going to set the scale to 1 for now. And when we animate it, we're going to bring it down. So right here on 145 or something, on 145, I'm going to insert a scale keyframe here. And on 150, bring down the scale to 0 and insert the keyframe. So we're eliminating it from the scene right here because I don't want them in front of my camera. Let's close this tab for now. So we just have the timeline on this. And right here, I'm going to start animating the camera. Okay, this is a problem here because our shoe top is coming down on the bubbles, which I don't want. So we did a little mistake here. I'm going to select this keyframe on the shoe top, select it and move it back over here. Then select the second keyframe right here on the 120, duplicate it to 150 right here. So the frame 120 and 150 are the same, and the shoe top will not move at all. Then let's select the bubbles again. Let's go to geometry nodes and fix the scale real quick. And right here, I'm going to make the scale in the multiply to something like 16. Go to the plot physics again. Delete the bake and bake it again. Let's check out the bake. I think it's going to be better this time. Let's go to frame 85 and play this. And yeah, this looks pretty great. I think I may want to bring up this shoe a little bit more. So let's select the top, go to frame 120, and right here in the location, I'm going to bring it up just like this. And insert location, select the 120 keyframe and duplicate it to 150 right there. And right here, select the object again, cloth object. And we're going to go to geometry nodes. Let's make the multiply node to 15. And I'm going to bake it again. This is a painful process, but once you make it, it's worth it. Because in simulations, you always have to experiment with different things. So delete bake and bake again. Alrighty, the bake is done again. So let's go to frame 85 and check out how it looks like. Okay, alright. I think I can work with that. Now on frame 140, I'm gonna start animating the camera. So right here, I'm gonna insert a location, rotation, and scale keyframe. And on frame 85, we're gonna grab it right here. Go to frame 85 and put it there. I'm gonna move the camera controller just like that. Center out the object. Go to the render view. I'm going to scale it down this way and insert location, rotation, and scale. Now on frame 140, I'm going to bring it up just like that and center it out. Hit double R to rotate it a little bit more and scale it up so we can zoom back right here and insert location, rotation, and scale. Now on frame 150 or 155, I'm going to select my shoe top and get this keyframe, the last one, which is our original position of this object, and bring it right here on 155. And select the camera controller, grab it just like this, center it out, and hit double R, and rotate it to this side. I'm going to scale it down. And let's get some nice shots from this area. Now it's up to you from wherever you want. So from which area you want to take more shots, just rotate it like that and insert location, rotation, and scale. Now if I play that, and this is how it looks like. I want this object to come down a little bit faster, so let's select these two keyframes and bring them back a little bit, just like this. Now let's play that. That's good. And it's not playing in real time, you can see that. But if you turn off the simulation objects and turn off the modifiers on it and hide them, it may make it a little bit faster. Now go to frame 152. And I'm going to insert location, rotation, and scale. Select these two keyframes. Bring this one to 155. Select the last one and bring it over here to 180 or something. If it doesn't look good, we're going to bring it a little bit back. So if we do that, I think I'm gonna bring it back to 175 or 170. And now we're gonna check whatever is making our report slow, we're gonna turn it off. So right here, let's just unhide this bubble object and hide this whole collection from here. Now if I play that, it's still very slow. I'm gonna turn it on and select the second one. Let's turn off the subdivided surface on it. And what is making it slow? I don't know, but let's hide them again. Let's make this to 30 FPS. RGB. Compression is gonna be 5%. Now let's play that. Nice. Now let's select the camera controller empty. Go to frame 185. And now I want to show this part of the shoe, so let's just rotate it. Grab, rotate. Our x-axis. Insert location, rotation, and scale. If I play that, our x-axis, our y-axis, our z-axis, insert location, rotation, and scale. You're just gonna have to find a good angle here. So I think I'm gonna go with it, but I'm gonna make it a little bit better. Rx. And just rotate it like this. Scale it up. Insert location, rotation, and scale. Let's play that. Well, X, insert location, rotation, and scale. Okay. So double R. So this is what I'm gonna go with. Insert location, rotation, and scale. Now go back 3 frames or 4 frames and insert location, rotation, and scale again. Select these 2 keyframes, the last ones, and bring them over here on 185. And then the second keyframe, and select it and move it back to 200. And let's play this. Play this. So it goes like this. Or this. Right. Cool. Now on frame 210, I'm gonna rotate it back to this side right here. But for that, let's hit Alt R and Alt G. Bring it up a little bit. I'm gonna hit RZ. Scale it up just like this. RX. Insert location, rotation, and scale. If I play this, that's nice. Just go back a few frames, insert location, rotation, and scale again. Select these 2 keyframes, bring that back 210. Select the second one and bring it over to 225 or something. And let's play that. That's a cool shot right there. Now, I may want to increase these gaps right here based on what I like, because the animation is not playing in real time. So we're going to have to go do a viewport render animation and see if it's working or not. If it was too fast, then we're going to change that later. Now let's just check that, see if it's too fast or not. So I'm going to set the start frame to 140. Because I just want to render this area of the animation. and the end frame is going to be 230. Let's go to the resolution setting there right here, make it 50%, so it renders faster. Now go to view and viewport render animation. Just do that real quick. It will pre-render the whole animations and it will play in real time then. Now hit Ctrl F11. Honestly, I think it's a little bit faster. So to make it work, I'm going to set the start frame to 1 again and the end frame to 300 again. So right here, this was the first keyframe. Select all the keyframes right here and it comes faster and then it becomes slow right here. So I'm going to extend this right there to 185. Then it starts the second shot faster and it slows down in this area right there. So we're going to extend this area as well. So extend it to 220. Then it's becoming faster right here too, again, and we're going to select this last keyframe and bring it back right there to 255 or something. Now let's 140 right there and 260. The keyframes are increased now and it should be slower now. But before we do that, before we render it, let's go to the graph editor by hitting Ctrl Tab on the timeline. Now, I'm going to go to the third keyframe right here, which is on 185. And let's come over here. In this Z keyframe, I'm going to scale Y and 0, SY0. It won't do that weird twisting then if you scale it that way. SY0. And on these ones as well, SY0. And just hit Shift R on these. I think this is looking fine. Now this gets faster here and then slower here. So in the slow keyframe, we're going to go to the graph editor again. And right here, the keyframes that are rotated like this, we're going to hit S, Y, and 0 on them. Shift R, Shift R. I think this looks fine. Now on the last frame, we're going to do that too, but we don't need to do that there. It's looking good. Now these two keyframes in the middle, I'm going to hit T on them and make it linear. Now let's bring that back. Let's go to View and Viewport Render Animation. Now let's hit Ctrl F11. Great, this is looking good. I'm going to set the end frame to 300 again and the start frame to 1. And on here, on frame 265, we're going to do the final shot. Just hit RZ and rotate it like this, like a 360 rotation. I'm going to hit R just like this, scale it up, position it to the middle, and make it look good. So I'm going to scale it up so that it can go back just like this. And I'm going to insert location, rotation, and scale. Now let's go back a few frames. I'm going to go back 2 frames and insert location, rotation, and scale. Now move that just like this. Select the last keyframe and bring it back to 300. I'm going to play that. That was the last shot. It looks great. Now on here on frame 275, I'm going to insert a rotation keyframe and bring it on top of the 265 keyframe. And make sure it's just a rotation keyframe, not other than that. Let's play that. Great. So the rotation is happening faster than the location and it looks kind of energetic and better. I like this. This is done. Now there might be some cleanup that you want to do, which is about this thing. If it's clipping, you might need to remove it. So on here, let's see if it's clipping with the background or not. I'm going to go to the material preview. Let's scroll through the animation and see if it's working or not. I like it. I think it looks better. It looks good. But on this side, we don't have the spotlight, so it looks a little bit bad. So to fix that, let's go to solid view right here. And on here, when we move to this side of the shoe, let's go to camera view. Just like this, I want this light to be a little bit dimmer, not that powerful. So select the last keyframe right here that we added on this light, or you can add it from here if you don't have it. Just insert the keyframe and the power is 1000. Go to the camera view, and this is the point where we make this light a little bit dimmer. So on frame 153, I'm going to make this power of this light to something like 300 or something, and insert the keyframe. You can bring the first keyframe back just like this, but it's a smoother transition. That's good. And now we want to add another light right here, which is the spotlight. So let's just duplicate it. I'm going to select that, Shift D to duplicate it, and move it down here to the shoe. Make sure it's not from the top, it's from this side, this corner of the shoe, and it's coming from that. So it's opposite to this one. I like the look of it. You can see the shadows and they are very subtle, but they give it a nice look. As for rendering, we're going to go to the render view, make this 100%, and render region. This is going to be a PNG sequence, and you can select your output folder from here. Now, make sure to save every shot to another folder, because when you render the animation from frame 1 to frame 84, and we talked about this because we have 2 shots in the first 84 frames. So you may want to keep those in different folders because those frames are going to be named the same. And when you try to keep 2 files of same name in a folder, the last one will override the first one and that will be deleted. Now right here in the render settings, it's pretty much done. But the noise threshold is going to be 0.001. In the light paths, let's bring up the glossy to 5. You can turn on the motion blur and make it 0.25. There's not much to do here. So you can just render the whole thing, the whole timeline first. And then after that's done, you're going to set the end frame to 84. And remember, we did 2 shots here. So this camera, select the first marker, the first camera marker right here, and move it back here. Then you're going to select this marker and bring it back to frame 0. And then select this marker right here, which is used for this camera, and bring it back right here to frame 1. Now, all the animation is going to be from this camera. And that's great. You can turn on the bubble animations right here and turn on the callout modifier on it as well, and the subdivision. In here, I want this to be a little bit brighter, so I want another light right there as well. I'm going to select this light, the light on the top, Shift D to duplicate it, double R to rotate it, and bring it back over here so that these areas are not too dark. And the power is 400, which is good. Let's see that. That's how the shot looks like. And you can change all the colors and settings as you want. And in the color, bring it down just like that and give it a chocolate kind of color, a dark one. And this looks great. So yeah, just experiment with different looks. You can make it different than mine and have fun with it. That's all for this chapter, and I'll see you in the next chapter.